Howdy, howlers. It's Sako to me, also known as Cass Voight. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine these three things. This morning, I am going further into Weave the Liminal. We're going to talk a little bit about heritage and paths and inspiration for paths and stuff like that. I'm going to get my coffee, and it's so good to see the people that are in the chat right now. Yay, Jenny. Yay, Nicole. Yay, Wendy. Yay, Kat. Love you guys. Love you guys. Hi, Sharon. I haven't seen you around here before. It's really awesome to see you. Hi, Pronoun. Oh, so good to see you guys. Jeez. You really make my morning. Right, I'm going to figure out how to situate myself so that I can read and also drink coffee and also write on my computer. That is, I'm an old lady. I'm an old lady. All right. There's something wonderful about finding the hidden magic that is essentially in plain sight and already a part of you. Far too often, we can feel like we need official witchcraft practices laid out by others in books in order to do it right. It can definitely be fun to pick up new and different ways of doing things, but don't be afraid to look in your own proverbial family broom closet first. When possible, take the time to listen to the older members of your family. Ask questions about how or why things are done certain ways, and make notes. Of course, not every family situation is ideal. We may have a tumultuous or non-existent relationship with our immediate family, or be totally disconnected from our roots. Maybe a generation was cut out, causing a gap of information. Or there may be practices we personally don't agree with or find comforting. English, I know it. As we'll explore next, there are other ways to build a foundation that you can feel comfortable with. In Chapter 5, we'll explore how knowledge can be passed down through a family, even if they're physically no longer on this plane. Research suggestion. If possible, make a family tree that includes the places or general locations that your family is from. Start with one that appeals to you most and research the history, mythology, and folklore of that area. You can craft it out of images from those places, be it landscapes, landmarks, artwork, food, or people. I suppose I could do a family tree genealogy thing in my Book of Shadows or my, I don't know, in one of my magical booky things. I got a new one that I don't know what I'm going to do with. I could probably dedicate that to path-like things. Oh, hi, Cliftofer. Awesome seeing you. All right. A little more coffee. Still too warm to drink. It is fine. It is fine. All right. Inspiration, the pull of spirit. Looking at your heritage and family practices is definitely a strong foundation to start with, but it's not the only influence to consider. What are your most What are you most interested in when it comes to witchcraft, and why? Hi, Orla. Is there a particular area that calls to you, such as herbalism, divination, the bardic arts, etc.? Are there particular stories, myths, themes, and deities that keep appearing in your life? We are often drawn to certain things for a reason. Sometimes it's because of our heritage, but often it can come seemingly out of left field, from a culture or place you're not familiar with, but that keeps repeating in your life. How do we explain that, and what do you do about it? On Dad's side, lineage has been traced back to Virginia Cherokee. And great-great-grandfather was a medicine man. Ooh. So I guess magic is part of your family. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Super fun stuff. I have to say that not a lot, my stuff with Indian gods seems to be out of left field. And Carnoon was out of left field. He trespassed into my domain, and now we work together. I'm adopted, so genealogy isn't really something I can do. Yeah, I feel you. So the spirit thing and the way things appear to you and all of that jazz is probably going to be more relevant. I'm not one to fixate on the concept of past lives. I'd rather focus on the present. Yet the idea that we live many times in numerous incarnations and places does strike a chord with many people. Maybe we cycle from life to life, changing genders, roles, cultures, and places so that we can experience life from many angles. Perhaps every time we die, our spirit returns to a primordial soup bowl, and parts of us get ladled into newly combined spirits. We could even be our own ancestors, following those theories. So perhaps something we've been fascinated with from a young age or unexpectedly drawn to later in life comes from a memory or preference in a previous life. Or they could be markers we set into our own thread before coming into this life. Even little things that seem incongruous can have a big effect down the line. I remember a time around 6 or 7 when I was working on drawings in the living room by myself, and my mom walked in from the adjacent kitchen. I was drawing in there because it was the quiet room with no television or loud distractions, so I could concentrate. For no particular reason, I announced one day to her that I would marry someone who played the violin. I don't quite remember what she said in response, probably something like, "You can marry whomever you want when you're old enough." I never was interested in learning to play the violin myself, but I found it so incredibly beautiful and still do. Ironically, my first marriage was to someone who claimed to me early on he wanted to play the violin, yet he would never follow through on it. When I got into dance, I felt an even deeper connection to the sound of the violin powerfully through my body. That pull would lead me to a certain song played by a particular band. While on tour, I happened to dance to that song without knowing that the musician who had created the part I loved the most, the violin, was attending that performance. That encounter would spark a successful professional relationship that eventually evolved into something more when our lives allowed it. So as it happened, I did actually come to marry a violinist. Hi, Natalie. So you may not get familial connections, but you could get geographical connection, which could give you a good start. Absolutely. Yeah. There is also the concept of genetic memory, which I find very interesting. From the field of psychology, genetic memory is the idea that powerful physical and emotional experiences can be incorporated into the genome and passed down the line, like mental illness, for instance. But is it happening at the cellular level, perhaps hiding in our mitochondria? There's also the whole nature versus nurture discussion. But what about when you know things that you were never taught? If we're drawn to witchcraft because there's a rumor that someone in our family was a witch, does it mean that there's genetic memory being passed down? Or perhaps the fact that you're exposed to the idea because it's part of your family lore means that it becomes a product of your nurturing environment. I think we're a combination of many things, but both in our genes and in our spirits, which is why inspiration by spirit is definitely something worth considering. Oh, yay, Christina. It's like a podcast, right? Except I pause every once in a while to talk to people. Oh, Nicole said a thing. An ancestry test could help a lot on that front. You could learn where your DNA originated. For example, my test showed my family from Kentucky came from Scotland and Ireland. I've been wanting to do the ancestry test. My mom said her grandfather was Native American, but no one would say where from, and I've always wanted to know. That's really cool. Okay, where was I? Sometimes you can be drawn to a specific deity, myth, or practice that is completely outside of your family or cultural background. Ding, ding, ding. Maybe from an early age you had dreams of a certain place or traveled somewhere you'd never been to previously, but it felt so familiar. So what do you do in this situation? Do you say no to that goddess who keeps visiting you because you're from one background and she's from another? How does that even happen? If you are sincere in finding out more, then investigating more deeply is definitely a valid choice. You can avoid the downfall of cultural appropriation by doing cultural appreciation through proper research and careful study. Cultural appropriation is definitely a hot button topic right now. However, fear of being accused of it should not be something holding you back from digging deeper. Good morning, Kelly. Going to be stream hopping. Who's stream hopping? Who's streaming this morning? I don't know. Having a good time. Yeah, you bet. Just getting our wits about us, really. Just getting our wits about us. Let's see. There is a wide world of difference between cherry picking things without ever attempting an in-depth study of them, especially with the goal of profiting off those ideas, and sincerely wanting to learn something through proper cultural exchange to make it part of your personal practice. Practice respect, and you'll avoid the pitfalls. Books, film, music, art, and other cultural material can definitely be helpful on your quest to understand something outside of your cultural wheelhouse. However, nothing replaces being able to actually talk to and work with practitioners of that path and culture. Even better, investing the time and money into traveling to a place that has inspired you can be an amazing, worthwhile experience. But you have to make connections and do the research first. Just showing up somewhere and expecting to be taught isn't respectful or considerate. It's important to take the time to examine these things and build a study program for yourself. Realistically, the same is true for any area of practice, whether it's in your blood or not. Note. In Chapter 5, we'll talk about working with deities directly. At this stage, I just want to make it clear that Googling Kali Ma and reading one Wikipedia article is not doing your homework or being responsible. Exploring a deity involves reading their myths from a variety of angles, seeking to understand their imagery, familiarizing yourself with spiritual practices associated with them, and taking the time to understand more about the people and place that deity comes from. This process takes time and effort and can't be measured by the number of articles one has read or statues bought on Amazon. Rather, you'll find it to be a lifelong experience that will continue to morph as you walk through your path. Research suggestion: make a list of inspirations and practices that appeal to you. Start with your childhood and work your way to present day. Are there any connecting threads? Can you pinpoint how you got interested in these things? Mark the ones that particularly stand out to you. Prioritize them by how much they pull your attention. Brainstorm what you know about them already and start to investigate how to learn more. Next, we talk about time. Time is a big, big part of practice on a number of fronts, if we're being honest. Where you originate from and, hold on. Time, the schedule of person, practice, and place. Where you originate from and what inspires you are important things to evaluate in formulating your path, but many people fail to factor in the next vital column in their path building: schedule. We grow up with our schedules being dictated to us by our parents and family, teachers and educators, religion and government, jobs and duties, transportation, and possibly even partners and children. We get so sucked into having our itineraries charted out to us that we often disconnect from the world around us and even our own bodies. From there, we can suffer from many physical, emotional, and even spiritual ailments brought on by lack of proper rest and sleep, an unhealthy diet, and other stress-related factors. It's so easy to feel obligated to do everything and to satisfy everyone else's needs. All the while, we neglect our own needs until the whole system crashes like an overheated hard drive. It's vital that we actively foster a daily and yearly practice that matters to us. All too often, when I start to walk people through the first two steps of RITES, rights, there is a tendency to get overwhelmed or push back with excuses like, I don't think I have time to do it right, or maybe later when I finish doing blank. Following the path of the witch should empower you to take hold of your own schedule. Time is much more fluid than we think, and so is the practice of witchcraft. You're not running a race to become the perfect witch or playing a video game where you have to uncover all the treasures before time runs out. You really can go at your own pace once you give yourself permission to figure out what that means for you. In order to help you accomplish this task, we're going to look at several different facets of scheduling. The social schedule, which is school, work, family, friends, that sort of thing. Your body's clock, the lunar cycle, the solar system, goddamn Sacco, the solar seasons, and the schedule of feast days, i.e. memory, celebration, anniversaries, that sort of thing. All right. Time to think about how these facets can play out in your life and in your practice. In setting up a practice, you need to consider your availability, your sleep patterns, the seasons, and what personal significance for you, and what has personal significance for you. Snap, 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 snap. Yeah. The combination of these areas will be fairly unique to you and therefore be vital in figuring out what works best for you. Consider what makes you feel like you're part of a pattern and helps you acknowledge the passing of time. What you observe should be integrated into your practice because it calls to you, not because you feel obligated to follow a system manufactured by someone else. And that's something that I've struggled with in the past, for sure. Because I was like, certain days or have certain powers over certain aspects. And then on top of that, certain lunar cycle parts pertain to different aspects, and I always wanted to line up the day with the lunar cycle, and sometimes that meant I'd have to wait 1.5 years in order to cast a spell, and nobody got time for that. All right, so first we're going to talk about social scheduling. These fucking Twitter keeps saying like recommended tweets, and I don't care. I don't want recommended tweets. I want tweets from people I actually give a crap about. Oh. The social schedule. Whether you go to school, have a career, or are raising a family, or have family obligations, as well as you do with friends, these are all things that are expectations that affect your daily schedule. Sometimes these various factors all flow easily into practicing witchcraft, and other times they seem to be in opposition or a barrier to your practice. Regardless, they all affect how your days and evenings are scheduled. When do you work? When do you play? Look at your average week and analyze which hours get devoted to where and to whom. The reason for laying out your social schedule is so that you can concretely see how much of your time is obligated to something or someone, along with how and why. Yes, social, what? Which is tricky now because quarantine, right? And this obviously was not written during quarantine. Where did I leave off? Another thing to consider is that your job may be directly related to your practice, even if your official title isn't supervising witch. I know many people in the healthcare industry, including doctors, nurses, pharmacists, therapists, scientists, and hospice workers, who are able to find that what they do correlates to their personal practice. Coffee with Sako and my inner two friends. At this point, kinda, yeah. You guys are my quarantine buddies. Absolutely. Quarantine friends. They heal, administer treatments, and tend to all aspects of the life cycle through the eyes of a witch. There are witches who are lawyers, teachers, stay-at-home parents, and business administrators, all putting things in order with a side of magic. Musicians, artists, actors, writers, and dancers are often find that they weave witchcraft into their craft. Yeah, that's an understatement. Without realizing it. This manifestation of your witchcraft through your job may not seem to fit the classic image of a witch, but that does not invalidate your work in any way. You may already be busy doing work without realizing it. Research suggestion: map out your average week. How much time on average is devoted to daily work, family, school, hobbies, friends, etc.? When does free time occur to you? My free time is used for self-care. I usually save my craft stuff for the new moon or the full moon, though emergencies usually call for in-between work. Like on doing things for other people, doing things to protect myself, you know, stuff like that. Your body's clock. Although many people are not consciously aware of it, every body has a preference for how and when it functions at best. Your body has its own internal clock. My partner is a morning person. He can pop out of bed at an ungodly hour between 5 or 6 a.m. and get most of his work accomplished before noon, regardless of the weather or season. Then he starts to shut down around 9 p.m. My body prefers to get up a few hours later, 8 to 9 a.m., and does so much more easily when the sun is visible. I get the majority of my work done in the middle of the day, with an occasional second burst of energy for more work after dinner. I start to shut down around 11 p.m., and I'm usually in bed by midnight, so I'm not exactly a night owl. Those people function best in the late hours of the night and prefer to sleep late into the day. Why is understanding your body's schedule important for witchcraft? Knowing when you work best means you can plan your practice for those times. If you're a morning person, then plotting out some time in the morning to go for a walk outside and commune at your altar can help you create a meaningful daily practice that deepens your connection to everything. Just because there's a stereotype of witches doing work late at night doesn't mean you're a failure because you fall asleep by 10 p.m. Listen to your body. I usually end up doing it at night, mostly because a lot of what I do is divination, and divination is a late night sort of thing. Or at least I tap into the part of me that would be doing divination for whatever work that I'm doing. The social schedule has a heavy impact on your body's clock as well. In the best case scenario, the social schedule is in line with what works best for you, so you spend less time fighting against your body's natural flow. When the social schedule works in opposition to your body, it tends to wreak havoc with your overall well-being. Sometimes you simply can't avoid this conflict and have to make do. However, being aware of it means that you can try to take extra steps to care for your body. Research suggestion: examine the map you made for your social schedule. How does this line up with sleeping, eating, and general rest and relaxation? What are you doing to keep your body and your overall health in balance? Oh, you're at that like weird stage where at your age, you're like trying to figure out what your circadian rhythm is like, and it's being screwed up by having a toddler or a baby in your life, right? So, or mandating your time, you know. So it's not your body that sucks, it's your schedule that sucks. I super feel for the people who have children and practice, because especially small children who demand like all the attention. So I was going somewhere with that. I respect them because a little person is mandating all of their time and their spoons, and I don't have that kind of wherewithal. I am not cut out for motherhood. Starting menopause, so I get the whole inner clock always changing. Yeah, I will second that. The whole inner clock thing with menopause. I'm not suffering menopause, but my mother is. All right, the lunar cycle. Once you start paying attention to your body's daily schedule, you will most likely start to notice another pattern involving the moon that occurs roughly on a monthly basis. The moon's position in orbit around the Earth and the Earth's orbital position around the sun affect how much of the moon is in shadow and how much is illuminated, causing the lunar phases. Approximately every 28 days, the moon is new, waxes until full, and wanes back to new again. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, it is adorable. It is adorable. Absolutely. I think if my 6-year-old niece asked me if I needed jars for or started collecting jars for my practice, I think I would cry. I think I would cry. I'm like, I don't need more jars. I'm full up on jars, but thank you, baby. Which makes up a lunar month. Yeah, okay. Since the lunar month is slightly shorter than a calendar month, it's always shifting, not matching up with the start and end of each calendar month. The moon has an effect on the oceans and other large bodies of water, creating shifts in high and low tides. The most extreme tidal marks happen during the full moon. Our bodies, being largely made up of water, are similarly affected by the cycles of the moon. We tend to experience an upsurge in activity during the full moon, hence the word lunatic, from the Old French lunatique, from the Latin lunaticus, i.e. moonstruck. Derived from the Latin luna. Remember that werewolves and other supernatural beasts are said to undergo transformation by the light of the full moon. Many people report having a harder time falling asleep and staying asleep during a full moon and feel restless, whether or not the moonlight illuminates their sleeping quarters. Some people feel this as a boost of energy, and others feel more anxious, sometimes causing them to act irrationally. Even law enforcement officers are aware of the phenomenon and schedule more personnel to be on duty during the full moon. By contrast, many people feel sluggish around the time of the new moon. The new moon tends to be a time of introspection. For some people, this means it feels like an incubation period where they slow down comfortably and then start to generate new ideas. For others, this time can mean spiraling into depression, feeling stuck, or thinking more negative thoughts than normal. Yeah, it's the whole yin and yang thing, right? Witchcraft has been long associated with the moon and its powers and effects. In folklore, witches have been said to gather under the light of the full moon, and much of the modern practice has followed suit. While the full moon would definitely align with the surge of energy that many people feel, the most logical correlation is that if you're gathering outside at night, the full moon is really bright, as long as there isn't cloud cover, which is handy for seeing your way in the dark and saving money on candles or batteries. But don't worry, I'm not out to ruin all of the mystery and fun of witchcraft. I do subscribe to the theory that the lunar phases can affect us emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Therefore, there are definitely applications for ritual and metaphysical purposes for them, which we will focus on in the next chapter. The main point in bringing up the lunar cycle in the context of time is for contemplating how your body reacts to the moon phases. You don't have to hold a ritual because the moon is full or new or somewhere in between. A monthly ritual is not an obligatory thing, unless, of course, you have mandated such a thing for yourself and have made an agreement of some sort. Maybe you are drawn to do something specific at a certain stage of the waxing moon or the new moon because of how it makes you feel, Or maybe you just don't feel the need to mark a lunar connection at all. Research suggestion: consult a lunar calendar and mark out the cycle over the next month in a journal, datebook, or notepad. Twice a day, upon waking and before you go to bed, write down a word or phrase that describes how you are feeling. Calm, anxious, distressed, depressed, excited, etc. Once you reach the end of the first month, look back and see if you notice any correlations between the phase of the moon and how you felt at that time. It may take several months to start noticing a larger pattern. More coffee. More coffee. Oh, I saw things. I missed some things. Never thought I'd make a good mom, but here I am doing the mama roll thing. Yep. I think you're going to be a great mom. I think you are a great mom. Currently. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Solar seasons. Take a little break. Hold on. Especially if I intend on doing audiobook things today. As before, I was always closer and drawn to Apollo for the healing and divination, the sun god. And now that I'm a mother, I'm exploring other deities. That's really great. You might want to, if you are a follower of Apollo, you might want to look into the Dark Mother as well. You can start with, I would probably start with Ishtar. But if you're going Greek, maybe Nyx or Diana. Just to kind of like even out the dichotomy. Oh, I'm still waking up. Have mercy on me. Also, like my shirt. I didn't think I would be able to show off the whole thing while sitting down. All right. The solar seasons. Moving outside of your body's schedule and the daily requirements of work, friends, family, and past effects of the lunar month, we come to the solar seasons. The solar season, as the name implies, is directly determined by the proximity of the Earth's elliptical orbit to the sun over the course of a year. For locations north and south of the equator, the solstices mark the longest and shortest days and nights, when the Earth is closest and farthest from the sun, and the equinoxes in between them mark when the day and night are equal. Due to the tilt of the Earth's axis, while those in the northern hemisphere observe the winter solstice, those in the southern hemisphere are celebrating the summer solstice, which I learned this year. I was like, huh. Just because it's, I don't know, like the idea of having Christmas in summer, like interesting thought. Drawn to Hellenistic pantheon, but I'm trying to bunch into Celtic and Gaelic, but we shall see. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do your branching and see how you feel. You might feel a better connection with Celtic and Gaelic. And you might find like Carnoon or who's another sun healing paternal. No, it's mostly Karen. Something to consider. Also being drawn to energies and spirits, bringing it down a little bit, and kind of doing energy work, look into maybe chi manipulation. I feel like, because it's the same energies, it is. So Tai Chi and chi manipulation in general can really help with your practice if you're getting into energy work. Reiki is another great one. I'm going to do 23andMe because I'm really interested in connecting with my past ancestors, my ancestors' practice, but that's all in time. Yep, take your time. Mm-hmm. I've heard tale that my great-great-grandmother could look at a person and look at a woman and tell if they were pregnant and whether they would have a girl or a boy. And she was always right. But that's the most that I've ever heard. My mom did a little bit of tarot. I don't think she ever really subscribed to the newsletter. Chakra manipulation, absolutely. That is some powerful stuff. Chakra manipulation. I've had some serious breakthroughs with chakra. Serious breakthroughs. I should go back into it. Do another pass and see what bubbles up. Yeah. It's cool stuff. Early humanity recognized the correlation of the apparent movement of the sun and other celestial bodies with the changing of the seasons. Many ancient monoliths, earthen handmade mounds, and other structures accurately mark the solstices and equinoxes. Many festivals across the planet have been scheduled according to these solar occurrences for thousands of years. Since the changing of the seasons repeats in a relatively reliable cycle with definitive spokes, the solar season can be imagined as a wheel. The term wheel of the year is prevalent in modern paganism to describe a repeating circle of sabbats or celebrations. Hi, Swati. How's it going, hon? Doing great. Just waking up and getting my wits about me. We're talking about timing when it comes to our witchy practice. Where did I leave off? The Wheel of the Year has become a commonly accepted schedule in the last several decades, but it's hardly ancient or applicable for all regions and practices. Where did it come from? Some point in the late 1950s, when two older British men were hanging out their nudist club, comparing notes on their burgeoning spiritual paths. Between them, they realized they had a nice sort of evenly spaced schedule of sabbats or festivals. All they had to do was embellish or recreate some practices, and they had an 8-spoked wheel of sacred days. Brilliant. Those two men were Gerald Gardner, the father of modern Wicca, and Ross Nichols, the founder of the Order of the Bards, Ovits, and Druids, or OBOD. The Wheel of the Year was eagerly embraced early on for several reasons. First, most people were under the impression that Wicca, Druidry, and other similar paths were ancient in origin instead of recently and largely constructed with good intentions. Second, people love a festival, and 8 sure beats the traditional Christian big Christian big of 2. The 8 sure beats the traditional Christian big 2 of Easter. Sorry, I'm distracted. The Sunday following the first full moon that occurs after the spring equinox, and Christmas, close proximity to the winter solstice, And what luck! The sabbats can actually overlap those nicely so everyone can celebrate something together. Yeah, what's up, babe? Yeah. I should be wrapping up the stream anyway. Although the trash guy is here and I never emptied the cat box. Damn it. I meant to do it before the stream started and I just didn't. Worked on my 5-year plan instead. Oh, I need to include my art stuff in with my 5-year plan as well. Originally, this was supposed to be a publication like schedule and production schedule for books and stuff, but books are not the only thing I do. So I've got a couple of books that I need, like graphical books, like photo books or art books or graphic novels that I need to actually finish so that I can publish those things. Since some days I've been hearing weird voices, and getting negative dreams. How do I cleanse myself? Okay, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can use inner light, or if you're anything like me, you can use recaning sticks or like smudge sticks. Tried a salt bath, but still experiencing that. I would probably do it could be not you, but your space, maybe, that's doing it to you. So I would either purchase Florida water or make it yourself. And then spray that stuff until everything feels like home. I read a spell on some stream, and since that day, my energy is draining. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, you got to refuel somehow. My suggestion, rather, were I in your position, I would spray the heck out of some Florida water. Absolutely. Cleanse with, maybe talk to a couple of deities to like watch over you, and what that is, I don't know. Florida water is like a cologne. What I do is I take vodka, like the cheapest vodka I can find, and then I put in flower petals, essential oils of different flowers, and I let it infuse. I let it do its thing, and I also charge it on my altar and in the moon, and then I can spray it. I tried sage, but until sage is burning, I feel fine. But after that, the same. Yeah, so it might not be doing anything. Just curious. I don't find sage particularly helpful. Not for me, not for my practice. I know how to do it. I don't know why people do it, but I don't use it for my practice. I was gifted a protection recaning stick. It's kind of weird. I'm trying to use it. I will try that. Thank you very much. Praying through everything. Get fine. Oh, yeah. True. Chanting and praying. Maybe some chakra work. Look into chakra. Because if it is like a part of you and not your space, chakra work might help. Just like checking in and looking at all the points. Oh, a Spanish woman posted black magic spell on stream. Oh no! Did you read it out loud? What kind of spell was it? I mean, other than black. I mean, like, what was the effect? Because the thing about black magic is, karma works. I'm not into the threefold law, but karma works. Not to act like Occam's razor here, but also consider professional help if we're talking about literal voices that aren't there. Maybe. Yeah, almost 5 times, because that was weird in English. Almost 5 times. Oh my gosh. Woo, I'm going to start taking you on all of my walks. I was so focused. I got there and back early. Woo! So that means tomorrow I'll go even farther. Nice, Clifton. That's awesome. It was for mind control. Oh, that's even worse. I'm so sorry. Jeez. I'm vehemently against mind control spells. It really sucks that there are YouTube accounts doing that. Like when I read it, my eyes got something black and got unconscious for a while. No. Oh no. I am concerned for you, Swati. Oh, thank you all for joining me today. It was good talking about schedule-y things and path and heritage things and all of that. Your guides? What guides? I'm so glad. I'm thinking about doing a podcast. It's probably going to be more about writing than witchy things, but Oh, I follow. Okay. I'm so glad. Woo! Yeah, I've been told that I should do audio versions of my blog posts because I'm writing a bunch of blog posts and then I'll queue them up to go on certain times. Cool. Nice. Should I do, what I might do is I'll make like a quickie video reading out the blog post and then like planting that into the blog post. Because I want my followers to have audio versions of my work. Even if my blog posts are only like 200 words long. Yay. Cool. Audio, video. I still have to finish my audio anthology thing. I'm listening while I look. Yeah. Everything you're saying is great. I took it up. Awesome. Cool. Work some more on some blog posts and help doll. Patreon and website. I do download your videos in voice. Oh, and listen to it while driving or something. Cool. We all have to finish that flash fiction, yeah. All I'm doing is wrapping up the visual aspects, but I'm trying to make it in such a way that both people who are almost completely blind, like they just see like blobs and light and stuff like that. Oh. Just got done yesterday. I've just had iMovie like hanging out open for the last like 3 days. When did I go to bed last night? 10? Sorry, bullet journal things. Coffee. Oh no. I think I'm meeting Doll at noon, 11, something like that. Yeah. I haven't had anybody read my story. I did do a couple of passes on it. I did it at night, so I feel like my acting could have been pushed more. My voice acting. All right. I'm gonna go and get my day started and things. I'm gonna let you get your day started if you're not already working. And I will catch you guys tomorrow, bright and early tomorrow.